Why is Europe so reliant on Russia's gas? This is a question that underscores a critical dependence that has shaped political, economic, and even social dynamics across the continent. Europe's reliance on Russia for its gas supply is a complex issue, woven into the fabric of historical ties, geopolitical strategies, and economic realities. This dependency is not just a matter of convenience or cost, but a strategic choice that has evolved over decades. Its implications are far-reaching, influencing decisions not only in energy policy, but also in foreign relations and even national security. As we delve deeper into this topic, we'll examine how this reliance came to be and what it means for Europe in the context of the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We will explore how this dependence has shaped Europe's response to the crisis and the challenges it faces in seeking to diversify its energy sources. Stay tuned as we delve into the historical roots of this pressing issue. Europe's dependency on Russia for gas didn't happen overnight. It's a complex web that has been spun over the course of many years, and the threads of this story take us back to the time of the Cold War. Russia, then part of the Soviet Union, had abundant natural gas reserves, which caught the attention of a Europe that was still reeling from the effects of World War II and in desperate need of energy resources. The seeds of reliance were sown in the 1970s, a pivotal decade that saw the formation of a significant energy alliance between Europe and Russia. The construction of the first major pipeline, a feat of engineering that connected the vast gas fields of Siberia to the energy-hungry markets of Western Europe, cemented this relationship. This pipeline became the conduit for a relationship that would grow stronger with time. As the years rolled on, the European Union expanded, incorporating more countries into its fold. With this expansion came a surge in energy needs. The EU, now a larger entity, needed more gas to fuel its growth. Russia, with its vast reserves, was only too happy to oblige. The pipelines multiplied, and the flow of gas from east to west became a lifeline that Europe grew increasingly reliant on. The relationship wasn't without its ups and downs, of course. There were disputes and disagreements, political posturing, and economic sanctions. But throughout it all, the gas kept flowing. Europe needed it, and Russia had it. It was a relationship of convenience, perhaps, but it was also one of necessity. As we can see, this reliance has deep roots, tracing back several decades. It's a story of need and availability, of politics and economics, and of a relationship that has shaped the energy landscape of an entire continent. The situation is complicated further by the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. To understand this, we need to look at Ukraine's role in the energy dynamics of the region. Ukraine, a country sandwiched between Russia and Europe, has traditionally played a crucial role as a transit country for Russian natural gas. For years, vast quantities of Russian gas have been piped through Ukraine en route to Europe. This has made Ukraine a key player in the natural gas supply chain, a situation that has both economic and political implications. However, the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has thrown a wrench into this arrangement. The tensions and hostilities have led to disruptions in the gas supply. There have been instances where Russia has stopped the flow of gas through Ukraine, causing shortages in various parts of Europe. These disruptions have raised concerns about the reliability of Russian gas supplies and Europe's heavy dependence on them. The conflict has also strained relations between Russia and the European Union, with the latter expressing concerns about Ukraine's stability and the potential impact on the region's energy security. Europe's dependence on Russian gas, coupled with the uncertainty surrounding Ukraine, has led to a precarious situation. This has forced Europe to reconsider its energy strategy and look for alternatives to Russian gas. But it's not as simple as flipping a switch. The infrastructures, contracts, and economic considerations involved make the transition a complex and challenging process. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has indeed added fuel to the fire. It has highlighted the vulnerabilities in Europe's energy supply chain and underscored the need for a more diverse and resilient energy mix. The situation is a stark reminder that energy security is not just about having access to resources, but also about ensuring stable and reliable supply routes. Europe's reliance on Russian gas has far-reaching implications. Imagine the vastness of Europe, a continent rich in history, culture, and economic prowess. Yet, beneath this image of stability, there lies a vulnerability, a dependence on Russian gas that has significant economic and political implications. For starters, Europe's economic prosperity is to some extent tied to the steady flow of Russian gas. It fuels industries, powers homes, and keeps the wheels of commerce turning. Interruptions, even brief ones, can have a ripple effect, causing production slowdowns, business disruptions, and spikes in energy prices. In fact, the specter of potential supply disruptions looms large, particularly during winters when the demand for heating skyrockets. Europe's heavy reliance on Russian gas amplifies this vulnerability. A harsh winter coupled with a supply cutoff could plunge parts of Europe into energy crises, but the implications extend beyond the economic realm into the sphere of politics. This reliance on Russian gas gives Moscow a lever of influence over Europe, a power dynamic that is not lost on European leaders. They find themselves walking a tightrope, balancing the need for energy security with the desire to assert their political autonomy. This dependence also shapes Europe's foreign policy. It compels the continent to tread cautiously in its dealings with Russia, even when confronted with actions that challenge European values, such as the conflict in Ukraine. It's a geopolitical chess game, with Europe's energy security at stake. In this context, the war between Russia and Ukraine is a stark reminder of the precarious position Europe finds itself in. The conflict threatens not only Ukraine's stability, but also Europe's energy security, underscoring the continent's vulnerability to disruptions in Russian gas supplies. Indeed, the stakes are high for Europe. The continent's reliance on Russian gas is a double-edged sword, offering the boon of energy, but also the potential for economic disruption and political manipulation. As Europe navigates this complex landscape, the question of how to reduce this dependence becomes increasingly pressing. So, what lies ahead for Europe? As the dawn of a new era in energy sourcing approaches, Europe has a handful of viable alternatives to Russian gas. Firstly, renewable energy sources are emerging as a strong contender. Solar, wind, and hydroelectric power have the potential to significantly reduce Europe's dependence on Russian gas. However, the transition to these renewables is not without its challenges. For one, the infrastructure needed to harness and distribute these energy sources is still in its nascent stages in many parts of Europe. The initial investment required is quite substantial, and the returns, while promising, are long-term. Another alternative is liquefied natural gas, or LNG, from other countries. The United States, Australia, and Qatar are just a few nations with large reserves of LNG that can be exported to Europe. But this too comes with its own set of challenges. For example, the cost of transporting LNG across vast oceans is not insignificant. Plus, the construction of new LNG terminals and the retrofitting of existing infrastructure to handle this type of gas is a costly and time-consuming endeavor. Yet another avenue is nuclear power. Although it has its critics due to safety and environmental concerns, nuclear power is a reliable and efficient source of energy. Countries like France have long embraced nuclear power, and others may follow suit if the need arises. Europe could also explore energy efficiency measures, such as improving insulation in buildings and promoting the use of energy-efficient appliances and vehicles. These measures can significantly reduce the demand for energy and, by extension, the reliance on foreign gas. It's also worth considering the role of geopolitics. Diversifying energy sources would not only reduce Europe's vulnerability to supply disruptions, it could also reshape its diplomatic relations with other countries. However, these alternatives aren't just about overcoming challenges. They also present opportunities. Investing in renewables, for instance, could stimulate economic growth and create jobs. Energy efficiency measures can improve living standards and public health, and diversifying energy sources can enhance Europe's energy security while fostering international cooperation. The path ahead for Europe is fraught with challenges but also opportunities. In conclusion, Europe's reliance on Russian gas is a complex issue with deep historical roots. We've journeyed through the intricate web of historical circumstances that led to this dependence, and how the geopolitics of Ukraine have played a pivotal role in this narrative. We've also examined the profound impact this situation has had on Europe, from economic repercussions to the very real fears surrounding energy security. The conflict and war between Russia and Ukraine have only heightened these concerns, threatening the stability of Europe's energy supply. Yet, amid these challenges, we've seen that there are potential alternatives. From diversifying energy sources to investing in renewable energy, there are several paths Europe could take to reduce its reliance on Russian gas. However, these options come with their own set of challenges and complexities, underscoring the fact that there are no easy answers to this issue. As we move forward, it will be fascinating to see how Europe navigates its energy future. Thank you for joining us in this exploration.